I want to start today with a paradox. It's an economic riddle that's been floating around the 2026 Outlook reports we've been reading. And honestly, it's the kind of thing that keeps central bankers awake at night.
I love a good paradox.
It's definitely been keeping me up. It's the paradox of plenty.
That one.
Here's the situation. We have an economy that, thanks to this explosion of AI, can produce more goods, more services,
Yeah.
just more raw value than ever before. Technically, we are richer than ever.
Right. Super efficient factories, code that writes itself, logistics on autopilot.
Exactly. And yet all the data suggests we are staring down the barrel of a recession because the math says no one can afford to buy any of it.
You're talking about the demand-efficient economy.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating, if slightly terrifying, collision between technology and basic monetary mechanics. The classic Ferrari engine with no fuel in the tank.
That's it. And that is our mission today. We're doing a deep dive into a stack of really dense reports. We've got IMF data, some scenario modeling from PwC, a few new academic papers. We want to unpack why AI isn't just a tech story anymore.
It's a story about the velocity of money.
It's way beyond just chatbots and cool images now.
And that's a crucial distinction. Usually when people talk about AI, they focus on productivity. How fast can we do things? How many widgets can a robot make? But these reports are looking at the other side of the ledger.
Consumption.
Consumption. Because if you break the link between working and earning, you inevitably break the link between earning and spending. And that is where the whole machine starts to wobble.
That's where things get messy. So let's get into the engine room. To understand this bottleneck, we have to talk about a concept that usually puts people to sleep in Econ 101.
Marginal propensity to consume. It sounds dry, I know. It sounds like something you'd see on a chalkboard and immediately zone out. But I swear, in the context of 2026, MPC is probably the single most important metric for the global economy. It's the heartbeat of capitalism.
So let's strip away the textbook jargon. How are these reports defining MPC specifically for this AI-driven economy?
At its simplest, MPC just measures human behavior. It answers one question. If I give you one additional
A
dollar...
bonus, a tax refund, something like that.
Exactly. What percentage of that specific dollar do you spend immediately versus how much do you save or invest?
Okay. Spend versus save. Seems straightforward.
On the surface, yes. But the critical insight here, and this is what the AI models are highlighting, is that MPC isn't a flat number. It relies entirely on who you are, on your current wealth.
It's contextual.
Very contextual. So if you are living paycheck to paycheck or even middle class with a mortgage, and I give you an extra $1,000, what do?
I spend it immediately. The car needs new tires, the kid needs braces, the credit card needs paying down. That money is gone.
Gone. You have unmet needs. So your MPC is high, maybe 0.9 or even 1.0. You spend 90 to 100 cents of that extra dollar.
Okay.
Now flip it. If I give that same $1,000 to a billionaire or a massive corporate treasury, do they need tires? Do they need braces?
No, they have everything they need. That $1,000 is a rounding error.
Precisely. They have zero unmet consumption needs.
Yeah.
So they might spend virtually none of it.
Okay.
It gets invested. It goes into asset markets. That is low MPC. They save or invest 99 cents of that dollar.
So usually in a healthy economy, you have a mix of both. You need savers for capital, you need spenders to buy the products. But the argument these reports are making is that AI is fundamentally shifting the balance. It's tilting the board.
It's not just tilting it, it's practically breaking the scale. Let's use the billion-dollar contrast from the PwC data. This illustrates it perfectly. Imagine an AI system generates an extra $1 billion in profit.
$1 billion. Nice.
A lot of new wealth. But where does it go? In scenario A, the AI capital scenario, that billion goes to the capital owners, the tech giant, the shareholders.
The people with low MPC.
Extremely low. The data suggests they might recycle only about 1% of that billion back into the real economy.
Wait, hold on. 1%. So out of $1 billion of new wealth, only 10 million actually gets spent. Where does the other 990 million go?
Well, it doesn't sit under a mattress. It goes into financial assets, stocks, bonds, real estate. It inflates asset prices. This makes the rich look richer on paper, but it doesn't buy coffee. It doesn't pay for haircuts.
It doesn't drive the velocity of the economy.
Not at all. It's trapped in the financial stratosphere.
That's a stark image. Money floating in the clouds, but never raining down. Okay, so compare that to scenario B.
Scenario B. Let's call this the labor scenario. Same $1 billion, but this time it flows to wages. Let's say it supports 20,000 middle-class jobs at 50,000 a year.
Okay, these are people with mortgages, grocery lists, high MPC.
Very high MPC. They're likely to spend 90% of that income immediately.
So that's $900 million flooding back into local businesses, car dealerships, versus just $10 million in the first scenario.
Precisely. And this is the velocity of money. This is the crucial mechanic. When a worker spends $1 at the grocery store, the grocer pays the clerk, who pays the mechanic, who pays the landlord. That $1 creates $5 or $6 worth of economic activity. It travels.
But if the capital owner buys a treasury bond, the velocity it stops. It hits a wall.
It hits a wall. It's parked. And this is the red flashing light in the 2026 reports. AI is shifting income on a massive scale from labor, which is high velocity, to capital, which is low velocity.
So we're building a hyper-efficient engine that sucks money out of the spending economy and traps it in the asset economy.
And we end up with a paradox of plenty. We have AI-run factories that can churn out unlimited cheap TVs and cars, but we've systematically defunded the only people, the middle class, who would actually buy them.
The economic equivalent of building a superhighway but banning cars.
You've got the infrastructure, but no traffic. And if you have supply without demand, you get deflation, you get layoffs, and you get a recession, even though you have better tech than ever before.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here because I can hear people screaming, "We've heard this robots are coming for our job story for 200 years. The Luddites, the assembly line, computers in the 90s, every time we found new jobs." So why are these reports insisting that 2026 is different?
That is the trillion-dollar question.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the one I was most skeptical about until I saw the data on the types of jobs being impacted. The source material points to 3 trends that are happening at the same time, which makes this different.
Okay, let's break them down. Trend A.
Trend A is the hollowing out of the middle class. Historically, automation replaced muscle. It replaced dangerous, repetitive physical labor.
Yeah.
That actually pushed people up the value chain.
Right. You stop digging ditches and start driving the excavator. You use your brain instead of your back.
Exactly. But AI attacks the cognitive layer directly, and specifically, agentic AI. Systems that can take action, make decisions. It targets the high MPC, middle-income roles. We're talking about accountants, paralegals, copywriters, mid-level software developers.
The people who buy houses and cars. The stable center of the economy.
The engines of consumption. The reports highlight a really concerning data point. A 4 to 7% contraction in hiring for entry-level and mid-level roles in finance and tech just in early 2026.
4% doesn't sound huge, but what does that really mean?
It means the ladder is broken. If you don't hire entry-level people, you have no one to train to become senior-level people in 10 years.
It's the junior analyst problem.
Exactly. If the AI does the grunt work, the research, the initial draft, the basic code, you don't need the junior staff. But that cuts off the primary path to the middle class for an entire generation. And it's a massive chunk of purchasing power that just vanishes. Their spending power collapses.
So the spending engine starts to sputter. It's not just that people lose jobs, it's that the quality of the income degrades. What's trend B?
Trend B is the winner-take-most dynamic. This is about the physics of the digital economy.
The scale problem. The superstar firms.
Right. In the old world, if a car company wanted to double its production, it had to hire more people, build more plants. Expansion required spending in the real economy. It dragged the labor market up with it.
But with AI.
With AI, if a firm has a superior model, it can scale globally with virtually zero marginal cost. And this is key, with 90% fewer employees.
So you have one superstar firm that wins the market, destroys the competition, and does it with a skeleton crew.
And because they have a skeleton crew, they aren't paying out wages. They're retaining massive profits. And remember who owns the superstar firm?
Shareholders. Low MPC.
Very low MPC. So you have this massive vacuum cleaner sucking profits out of the broad economy and depositing them into the accounts of the top 1%.
Which leads us to trend C, the capital labor split.
This is the macro view. For decades, the slice of the global GDP pie that goes to labor wages in your pocket has been shrinking. AI is a huge accelerant. The report cites a projection that AI could boost global GDP by $15.7 trillion by 2030.
Which sounds great. The pie is getting bigger. Politicians love saying that.
Of course. But the so what is the slice? If that 15.7 trillion primarily goes to return on capital dividends, buybacks, rather than wages, the gap becomes an unbridgeable chasm.
It's almost like the economy is decoupling. You have the production economy growing wildly and the consumer economy shrinking.
And you can't run a consumer economy without consumers. This is why the IMF and PwC are waving the red flag. It's not a moral argument about fairness, it's a mechanical argument about sustainability. If money doesn't circulate, the gears grind to a halt.
So if the status quo leads to this stagnation, this world where we have amazing tech but a recessionary reality, what do we do? The sources mention that 2026 has become a hotbed for some pretty radical policy debates.
Radical is the right word. Because the problem is systemic. The solutions have to be systemic. You can't just tweak interest rates to fix this.
Okay, the reports outline 3 big ideas that have moved from the fringe to the mainstream. The first one is the robot tax.
AI levy, yes.
When I hear robot tax, I imagine a toll booth for Terminators. But functionally, this is about taxing productivity, right?
Exactly. The logic is, if a company replaces 1,000 workers with an AI, the government loses the income tax those workers paid. Plus, those workers might now need unemployment benefits. Social cost goes up, tax revenue goes down.
So the robot tax tries to capture that lost value.
Right. The proposal is to tax the productivity gains of the AI. If the AI does the work of 100 people, the company pays a tax equivalent to a portion of that value.
But I can hear the tech company screaming, "You're punishing innovation."
And that is the counter-argument. But the proponents say it's not about punishment, it's about recycling. You take that tax revenue from low MPC corporate profits and funnel it back into the economy through social programs. You're manually increasing the velocity of money.
Which segues perfectly into the second solution, the one gaining the most traction. Universal Basic Income, UBI.
UBI has been around for decades as a concept. But in the context of the MPC paradox, the argument changes completely.
It stops being about welfare.
It stops being about charity and starts being about keeping the machine running. The argument is that if AI is going to do all the work, we need to decouple survival from employment.
Because if the robots take the jobs and we don't have income, nobody buys the iPhone 27.
Precisely. The economic logic is that we need to direct a portion of those AI profits into a floor of monthly payments for the bottom 90%. Not to be nice, but to ensure there is a market.
So you give everyone a check.
Yeah.
Because they have high MPC, they spend it immediately.
And that keeps the circular flow of money alive. It turns UBI into a necessary component of the capitalist machine. It's like putting oil in the engine.
That's a wild shift in thinking. UBI as a business subsidy.
In a way, yes. It subsidizes demand.
Now, the third solution is the one I find most intellectually interesting. It feels less like a tax and more like a property right. Data dividends.
This is a very powerful concept. It reframes our entire relationship with big tech.
The premise is that data is the new oil, right?
Yes, but with a twist. AI models are trained on the collective internet, on our articles, our photos, our code, our Reddit threads.
We provided the raw material. We're the landowners sitting on the oil field.
And right now, the oil companies, the AI firms, are drilling for free. The data dividend proposal suggests that companies should pay royalties to citizens for the data used to train their models.
So instead of the government taxing the robot, the company pays me directly because I'm a supplier.
Correct. It treats the public not just as consumers, but as stakeholders. It says, you help build this brain, you should get a piece of the profit. And again, from an MPC perspective, it transfers wealth from the low MPC tech giants to the high MPC public.
These are huge shifts. A few years ago, these were fringe ideas. Now they're in IMF reports.
This shows the economists are looking at the math. And the math says that without some mechanism to redistribute purchasing power, the supply and demand equation breaks down.
So where does this leave us? The reports outline 3 future scenarios. It's helpful to map these out.
Sure. Path number 1 is the status quo.
We let the tech rip, don't change policies, see what happens.
The result there is a sharp decline in MPC, secular stagnation, frequent demand-side recessions. It's a high-tech feudalism. You have techno-lords and everyone else scraping by.
Not great. Path number 2.
Aggressive upskilling. This is the optimistic view that we can just teach everyone to code better, to race against the machines.
Can we win that race?
The report is skeptical. It suggests it creates a barbell society. A small group of high-income specialists who can leverage the AI, and a massive group of low-wage service workers. The middle class still disappears.
And path number 3.
Redistributive policy. This involves implementing the things we just discussed. Taxes, UBI, dividends.
And the economic outcome there.
Ironically, it's the most pro-growth scenario.
That's the aha moment for me. We usually think of redistribution as anti-growth.
But in an AI world, it flips. Redistribution leads to increased MPC. Because purchasing power is broadly distributed, demand stays high, the economy actually expands.
So in the age of AI, fairness isn't just a moral luxury, it's an economic necessity. You cannot have mass production without mass consumption.
That is the core takeaway. The velocity matters more than the volume. You can print all the money in the world, but if it gets stuck at the top, the economy dies. You need the river to flow.
This has been a lot to process. We've gone from the definition of a dollar to restructuring global capitalism.
It's a deep rabbit hole, but it's the reality of the next decade.
So for everyone listening, whether you're prepping for a board meeting or just trying to figure out why the job market feels so weird right now, understanding this MPC paradox is key.
And it helps you look at these policy debates with fresh eyes. When you hear about UBI or robot taxes, don't just think politics. Think plumbing.
I love that image. Think plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought, something to chew on that comes out of that data dividend concept.
Let's hear it.
If data really is the new oil, and you are generating it every single day, every click, every search, every post, are you just a resource to be mined? Or should you be a shareholder? Because right now, we're all working for the AI economy. We just aren't on the payroll yet.
That is a very provocative question.
That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Stay curious.